Good morning. This is the JP Dinnell podcast, episode 121. I am JP Dinnell, and as always, I have Lucas with me. So today, I am really excited that Lucas and I get to sit down with two of my close buddies, Nick and Johnny. Nick and Johnny own Relive Health in Flower Mound, Texas. I know Lucas and I have talked about them and Relive on the podcast a few times. So for us to be able to have them on the podcast is going to be awesome. I actually first met these two gentlemen at Double Five Jiu-Jitsu, where they started their Jiu-Jitsu journey, which I'm excited for us to also jump into and how those relationships came about. And I remember after I met them, briefly, Formiga had introduced me to one of them, and we were talking. They left, and Formiga was telling me about their clinic, and I just didn't think anything twice about it, and but then started to get to know them and hear about them from them training at Double Five, and then becoming close with some of my buddies as well. And I've been on TRT for almost 13, maybe a little over 13 years. That has been I had to have it prescribed to me, and a lot of education over the years about TRT and the effects and how my body reacts to it. Also been using peptides for the last 4 to 5 years. I know it's gotten popular in the last 18 months, maybe 2 years. But one of my buddies told me about peptides. I started doing my research, and there's not one person that could convince me that peptides do not work. I know we've talked about what happened with my bicep when I tore and detached it, and I had a schedule on that, and maybe we'll definitely talk about that on this episode, about how just the care, I guess I would say, and the protocol that I've been on from switching over and working with Relive Health absolutely expedited my recovery on this surgery. And I also know how being on TRT makes me feel good, makes me feel just like I'm supposed to. And then also, my wife is on a very small prescribed dose of TRT, and it's been an absolute game changer for her. And so TRT for men and women is, in my opinion, it should be a non-negotiable for every man and woman, but at different certain points in their life. There are some people that need it sooner. There are some people that, actually don't need it for a while. But there will come a point where I wouldn't understand why somebody would not want to have energy, would not want to recover, would not want to feel good, to be focused, have mental clarity, and that's what a good TRT and HRT, hormone replacement therapy, right? HRT, yeah, will do for you. And that's what I've also been educated a lot more on since, getting to know Nick and Johnny and going to Relive Health. And I know they'll talk about their staff there. Their staff is absolutely incredible. Some of the most caring staff members I've ever worked with in any clinic or any business. Some of the most attentive to detail individuals for each individual. You're not going in there, you're not getting oh cool, boom, this is what you need based off your blood work, based off your lifestyle, based off of all these other things. Extremely educated, just incredibly smart staff. And I remember when I first went in there, just the experience that I had, and then the experience that my wife had, and everybody that we've referred over there has said the same thing. Man, those guys are awesome. Their staff is great. And I know we'll get into all the different services that Relive Health offers, because I know my daughters are able to help with some treatments for, just some skin things, acne. I can't say enough things. My wife and I were actually talking about it the other day, and that's why I'm excited to have them on here to just educate all of us more about the benefits of all these things, but also their journey for being able to be, to have this business, because yes, they're building a business for their family's stability and longevity and a legacy play, but as they build this business, they have a I don't think Nick and Johnny understand the impact that they're having for their community by taking care of people, going above and beyond. So I'm just super excited to have them here. They are also both believers. They both go to the Village Church with Pastor Matt Chandler, supporters of the ministry that Lucas and I are a part of, Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu. So again, I'm really looking forward to getting into their stories today, learning about their business, more about HRT, TRT, and everything that their clinic offers. Nick, Johnny, how you guys doing?
What's up, man? Appreciate you having us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us on.
Good seeing you.
Is it?
It is.
How are you, Lucas?
It was good.
Good.
It's good.
Awesome,
Good.
man.
Good to be here. Family's finally over
I know, man.
all the illness, dude. It sucked. Flu took us out this year.
Yeah.
Yep. So good to be back.
I'm glad you're back. You're doing good. I failed as a friend. I should have just went and kidnapped Lucas and brought him over to the clinic and just
Forced them to do a bad
just
job.
NAD bad.
Put my head in a plastic bag so I didn't contaminate anybody, and then just.
We do have a belt for the
It'd be
chair,
my own
you
little
know.
version of SEER training.
Yeah, I mean, we can go back to those days if we want. Waterboarding is fun. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna edit that part out because we just lost some people
Maybe.
with that one.
I don't know. They could like it. They're here
all right.
for a reason.
So, who wants to go first? What was Johnny? Okay, cool. So
Sure.
we'll go left. Where'd you grow up? What was childhood like?
Sure. Born in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, raised not the part that everyone thinks of West Palm Beach, Florida.
It doesn't matter. You have West Palm Beach, Florida in your address. Like, okay, I know there's good and bad parts of everywhere.
Yeah.
But bro,
So in Florida,
You're in Florida.
Usually, if you're east of 95, you're doing okay. If you're west of 95, there's a big difference.
okay,
So,
valid.
Great family. I was loved by both my parents. Yeah,
That's all that matters, right?
Yeah,
I
amen.
mean,
Yeah. So raised just north of that, Jensen Beach area, which is we'll get to there, but normal life. Played sports. Family loved me. Parents divorced. I was probably about 10. So then I kind of was with my dad mostly through the end of middle school and high school. I actually went to Catholic middle school,
Okay.
and then public high school, which was an eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that transition like for you, going from private Catholic to public?
Oh man, what an eye-opening experience. I mean, because I went from like goody, everything's evil to everyone sitting next to me has done A, B, C, X, Y, Z, and I'm like, what?
yeah.
I was not exposed to any of that. So it's a big eye-opening experience.
Yeah, that was probably me when I went into junior high because you're in elementary school, and where I grew up in Fair Oaks, which is a little suburb of Sacramento, California, like really good area, good neighborhood. I was in church all the time, and then all of a sudden I go to junior high where I'm riding the bus, and I'm like, what is secular music? Because I had never listened to anything other than oldies or Christian music
Sure.
until I rode the
Yeah.
bus to junior high, and it was an eye opener. And so now all of a sudden you're in a public school and you're hearing all those things. Did that provide like any struggles at an early age, or did your parents help you navigate it? Or
Well, so at this time, I wouldn't say struggles, but so I was just with my dad, and he worked nights. So school during the day, he works at night, so I didn't see him much. So I was blessed that I had like a lot of freedom, and I was good, until I wasn't, and then that's when I got cracked on. That wasn't until later, and that wasn't until my senior year. But I mean, so I think I kind of had like a silent agreement with my dad, where I knew, and he's like my idol, such a hardworking guy. He just retired last week. That I just saw him just work for just to provide for us, and. Did I have everything I wanted? Of course not, but I had what I needed,
Yeah. I'm just so thankful that my parents also set that same example.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, you work. Like, that's what we're supposed to do, And then when God gives you an opportunity, it doesn't matter what it is. Work,
Mm-hmm.
Do it with a joyful heart. And it seems like your dad did that. And congrats on his retirement.
Yeah, shout out Dad, yeah. Super, I never thought I would see the day. But yeah, and I'm not saying he's emotionless, because he is emotional, but I mean, as far as, not complaining, not, I do this, I do that. No, just work and come home, and, food's in the fridge, and
That's awesome.
what else do I need?
What sports did you play?
Played soccer for 15 years until skateboarding took over, and then nothing was cool to me anymore except for skateboarding.
At what point did you shift from soccer to skateboarding?
Probably about 13, 14.
Okay.
Well, both use your feet, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
One and the same.
I could do one, not the other. I could play soccer. Wasn't good, but I could play soccer. Did you ever play soccer, Lucas?
I did, yeah. I played soccer for a long time. And then football took over, and I tried skateboarding, but I grew up in the Jackass era, right?
Same,
so
yeah.
yeah, like we learned how to skateboard from CKY music videos, which meant that most of my skateboarding was from the top of a roof over a trampoline into a pool. I wasn't
Shopping
really
carts,
worried about
yeah.
hitting kick flips. I was worried about making cool videos, bruv.
Yeah, I was introduced to I was introduced to skateboarding when I was in elementary school by one of my buddies, Garrett Peterson, and his older brother and all of his friends skated, and they were like the hardcore punk rock skateboarders. And my parents didn't really want me getting into skateboarding because of that type of person, you know? They just, it was all like sex, drugs, and rock and roll back at that time. And they actually had a half pipe built in their backyard, and they were like hardcore skateboarders. And I tried it, and I really sucked. And I have maintained that skill level my whole life. So, like, what for you skateboarding? What brought you like joy from that?
So if I look back at it now, from my age now, that just friends always been like super important to me. Obviously, once again, I was loved by both my parents, but I didn't spend a lot of time with them. And my mom was kind of, love you, Mom, but she was, moved out of town and moved, here. And so my dad was like always the stable one there, but I, because he worked nights, I didn't see him much. So that's when, and I said I was very independent, but that friend group kind of became like my family. And, so, I'd spend a lot of time at my boys' house and, eat. I was the kid that was eating all their food,
Yep.
So it was always the good friend that had like the stock, the sun-kissed, the M&Ms,
Yep. Yeah.
So that's really where I think I kind of shaped myself, as far as my friends are really important to me.
That's cool. That's awesome.
So that, and it's kind of like a tight-knit community, like skateboarding. Like if you skate, you skate. I don't even know. We're cool. Like we're in the same,
That's rad. Any defining moments in high school that you think back that you're like, man, that kind of shifted who you were as a human, or was just high school pretty even for you?
It was pretty mellow. It was good. I mean, it wasn't, the popular kid, nor did I want to be, but I mean, I had some really good core friends, and was kind of my first experience with the church, as well as we would go to a youth group, and what they would do is they'd put out skate ramps, and then they would feed us pizza, and I'm like, that sounds like a good time. And then we would come in and we would talk. That's cool. So it was cool to see now, to look back, that church was small. It was in a little shopping center, Hot Walk, the Chinese place. And now it's, grown so much, and they're doing some big things. But I was like, I remember going there when it was fold out chairs.
Oh, that's cool. As you're like navigating high school, did you have a desire to go to college? Did you want to play sports? Were you just like, hey man, I'm going to start working? Like what was your plan when you were in high school for your life?
That's a long story. Typical college wasn't for me.
Yep.
I can't sit still well for very long. But I was big into music. So I don't know if I ever told you this. I actually went to school for kind of music, for recording art. So I wasn't a musician, but putting the bands onto tape. So like studio work. Soundboards, consoles, SSLs, all that stuff, mics, setting all that stuff up. So that was in Orlando. It was just a quick 1 year. It's like a tech school. So I have a degree, but I mean.
Man, I had zero clue.
Yeah.
And this is awesome because I was just talking with my son Hayden yesterday out in California. And Nola and I were driving to Jiu-Jitsu, so we called him and just kind of touching base, seeing how his day was, just trying to catch up and find the windows with the time difference gaps and everything.
Sure.
And he was all excited because he told me that he just volunteered he volunteered, and he's going through the application process to be on the worship team at his church.
Nice.
Because that's what he wants to do. He wants to do something in music. Like he's been like writing songs, and he really likes to write music. And so he wanted to serve at his church somehow on the worship team. And, we were talking about how Cora has a really good voice, and we were teasing Nola, like, oh, you're going to sing? And she's like, absolutely not. Yeah. So we're like kind of playing around. I was like, well, what do you want to do on that? He's like, man, I don't know. He goes, I don't care. Maybe it's just like, he's like, I just want to learn about it. He goes, maybe it's just like setting up cameras, or like all the music, like all the voice stuff, or the audio, like doing all that stuff. And then talking about, he's like, I still got to do research on, what that would be like for college. It was just like really cool. And then all of a sudden now we're talking about this. So
it's a great school. It's called Full Sail in Orlando. Loved it. That's what they specialize in: film, music, computer graphics, all that stuff. So
I did some voice acting stuff as well. Yeah, they've got a division here in Dallas called Sound Labs, which is also a media tech institute.
Dude, his research abilities on his phone that fast is unreal.
you just did that, didn't you?
Yeah.
It was a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, we've got some relationships with them, but I was trying to figure out like what all Full Sail offered that the media tech here doesn't. And the voiceover school is one of the things that's now become a massive thing. But Florida and Dallas have become hubs for talent because of those two schools. So yeah, it's pretty rad.
Dude, that's awesome. All right, so you do that, and then what's the next step?
So that was I was in the music industry briefly. Had a song on the radio that I recorded like immediately, so I was like, this is taking off really quick. Like, hey, I did it. And then I got exposed to some things I don't morally align with that shocked me as a 19, 20-year-old kid.
Got it.
And I kind of freaked out. And this is right outside New York.
Mm-hmm.
So when you graduate school, it's like L.A., New York at the time. Mm-hmm. Those were the big hubs. Nashville's now grown to be, big. So I moved up there with some buddies. I had never been there. I'd never been north of North Carolina. I'm a Florida boy. And I moved up there and kind of, we gave it a go. And that's how I fell into the bar business, because I like bailed on that, and then I needed a job, right?
Yeah.
So I got involved. I started being a bartender. Then I came back to Jensen Beach, and I ended up bartending at the same place for 12 years.
Dude, that's awesome. And then, so you're bartending in the same place for 12 years, and then where are you at with, what are you wanting to do with business? Are you wanting to own a place?
So super creature of habit, very disciplined in my work, my work life. But then just kind of maybe 29, 30 years old, I was like, there's something else for me. I don't know what it is, but this isn't good enough for me. I'm appreciative. I did well. I was never struggling, but I was like, there's something else. And I was interested in business, but I didn't know what specifically. But the only thing I knew was the bar and restaurant business. So I just kind of got a little motivation, and I never forget, I had a couple buddies that I bartended with. We bartended with as a team together, the three of us, for 10 years. So
Dude, that's rad.
I remember I just got fired up one day, and I had him invited him over, and I actually had someone offered me a job, like a desk job, and it paid well, insurance, a job mom and dad would want me to have,
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I think about this? I'm like, this isn't really for me. I can't sit at a desk, as you know very well. So
Facts.
So I was like, well, if I turn this down, that's going to be my agreement to myself is I'm going to open up a business. So I had him over, and I wish this was on tape, my speech. But for long story short, I want to open a restaurant. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be serious about this. If you guys are in, say yes. If not, be a man, leave. And there's no disrespect, no disrespect. If you're not all in, then it's fine. And that's kind of how this started to what is still open. It's called Lures Riverfront Restaurants in Jensen Beach. This would be their 10th year of being in business. I separated about 8.5 years into it. But it was me and a couple buddies, started with calls of the city. Can we do this? Learning the lesson with no experience to how do we do this? Wow. Are we allowed to? What spaces are open? What is that going to take? This place already has a build out. This place doesn't, and going through that whole experience from just nothing, just kind of figuring it out as we went,
Wow, that's crazy. And then you meet Nick.
So I meet Nick, probably about, see my neck, about there he is, about six or 7 years into the business. I'm just worn out, man. We're working 7 days, but that's, to me, I'm like, I'm locked in. This is what it takes.
Yeah.
Super blessed. We did very well. They're still doing very well. Just tired, you're working, 100-hour weeks. And then I just pertained that feeling like crap to my lifestyle. And I was working out at the gym next door. So back home, the original Relive location, there's a gym next door. So I was working out there. And then next door is Relive. So I was like, go get checked out. I've never had blood work in my life. I was like 37. Never had blood work done. So, go eventually meet this guy after my review and all that stuff. And as you know, just how great of a communicator and just,
Yes.
and I always say the truth is said behind people's back. This is the most genuine, kind man I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
We won't go too much further than that because I know we'll both get upset, but it's true. I mean, if anyone's ever met him and just the eye contact, he's such a genuine, kind person.
Yeah.
So I was really touched by my experience and how it affected my life as far as starting HRT, peptides, like you were talking about. I would just call him, hey, Nick, what else do I need? You know?
Hey, what do you think about this? It's doing some, and just getting an actual
Sure.
educated response from somebody is really nice. That's awesome. So we'll kind of pause there because then we'll go to Nick. Same thing. Like where'd you grow up? What was childhood like? And we'll do your story until
We're
tie it
weaving.
in together.
We're weaving.
And
Tie
then
it
we'll
in.
weave you guys
Yes,
together.
yes. I was born in Manchester, Connecticut. Grew up there for a couple of years. My dad worked for Pratt & Whitney, so that brought us eventually to Florida. From there, we actually moved back to Connecticut and then came back to Florida. So you got a track there. But yeah, grew up in Jensen Beach, Florida, as I consider my hometown. Spent about 30 of my 36 years there. So I consider that home. Grew up in that town. Came back. They were building Jensen Beach High School at the time. It was a brand new school, so I was the first 4-year graduating class at that school.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was neat. Played baseball, football, basketball my entire life. So athlete, sports, that's all I knew. Didn't have one day after school where I was not, in a practice. Obviously, some of those seasons overlap. So just busy, and that's pretty much where, my love for health and wellness fell. Always trying to see what I could do to optimize the way that I feel, perform, in the best of my ability to. So had a couple opportunities, went through high school there, grew up, my mom and dad, I have a little brother as well, best parents in the world in my opinion, just very, very supportive family, grew up in the Catholic Church, so going to service, every Sunday there, kind of fell out of that routine getting into high school, kind of those rebellion years of, hey, this is kind of what I've always done, let me try something different, right? Long story short there, had a couple opportunities to go and play college sports, specifically baseball and football. I was not a Division I athlete. A lot of people will, I want to go play in the league and professional. I was very realistic with myself, so a lot of my opportunities that I had were out of state, some Division II schools there. So went and, took those visits with my mom and dad, visited a couple schools, and kind of had to come home my senior year and have a difficult conversation with myself and then with my parents as well. We have something called Bright Futures in Florida, which academically, if you perform academically, they will provide you with a scholarship for college, but you have to use that scholarship in the state of Florida. So had that difficult decision with myself and my parents. Hey, was I gonna move to another state and chase my dreams of playing college football, or stay in state, utilize that tuition that I had for my Bright Futures, and pretty much figure out what I wanted to do from there. So decided to make that decision to stay in state. My freshman year, went to Florida Gulf Coast, which is in Fort Myers. Beautiful school. Met some great people there, and still had that itch. To play. I was playing intramural, basketball and football at the time. So I made the decision to transfer from Florida Gulf Coast in Fort Myers to Florida Atlantic in Boca. I had a preferred walk-on spot there for a football player. I was a corner and safety, so I was just
Quick.
the white boy with long hair that could run for the most part.
I'm glad he said it first.
Pretty much from there, didn't perform very, very well in that tryout, and just decided to stick, in Boca. I love the area. I met some really, really great people there. Finished my education with a criminal justice degree. Didn't really know what I wanted to do, and always just came back to that health and wellness. I just love taking care of my body, trying to, push myself to the max, do everything that I could do to optimize myself there. Which, coming out of college with that degree, didn't utilize it at all. Took my first ever job out of college. I was cold calling janitor services. So that lasted a solid 3 days. Was taking a 45-minute trip up to Pompano from where we were at the time, and just told me, I hated going to work every day. And that is actually...
This is all 3 days?
All 3 days. All 3 days just in front of a computer screen sitting.
Yeah.
I would go home and I would still see the lines of the computer in my vision. And I just knew, I've always been one to, never settle, as you guys know. And I wanted to enjoy what I did for work, I think it's Steve Jobs that says, if you enjoy what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. Fell into a big motivational self-help kind of situation where I actually had a buddy of mine, podcasts were kind of picking up at that time, just starting off. Had a buddy of mine introduce me to the MSCEO project, Andy Frisilla.
Yeah.
So, long story short, that helped me in my journey there of just figuring out, that mental toughness side of, hey, go do what you want to do. It might be difficult, at times. And then long story short, I'm sitting there one day, episode 190, March 17th, 2017.
St. Patty's Day.
Andy has a guest on named JP Dinnell. So full circle moment there. Obviously, when we got to meet JP, have him come into the clinic, I was geeking out. He's telling me he's coming in, and I'm all giddity. And but yeah, you were selling the Never Settle shirts, the American flag with the Never Settle.
Yep. Yeah, you still have one of the OG ones.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
Yep.
I remember the day when I was in there for my NADs bag, you had it. I was like, it took me a minute to click that. I was like, wait, hold on. How does he have this old shirt?
Yeah. Yeah.
We actually brought it here. Can you sign it?
Yeah. So, going from there, that podcast helped turn my life around for the most part. I've never been exposed to anything like that in my life outside of, your traditional, football, basketball, coaching staffs. Obviously, we had a lot of good coaches in the meantime there, but that really helped me, pinpoint what I wanted to do in life. So I'm moving back home, back to Jensen Beach, from Boca at the time, kind of just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, next in life. And there's an individual that grew up in our town that opened up, this clinic, and he had this gym attached. From the outsiders, it can be a little intimidating, I would say, from the names that are, going and training in this gym. But I'll never forget, it was one Christmas Eve, and I believe it was on the news, and I saw a clip of this individual was able to, he bought a van for a single mother of 3, right? And I gravitated to that instantly, and I said, wow, I want to be able to do that when I'm older. Yep. So kind of taking everything that I learned from, all these podcasts, taking in, and I said, I have to put myself around like-minded individuals. So I shot my shot, good old Instagram, another tool that has developed, over time, and shot this individual a message, not thinking anything of it. And sure enough, he, messaged me back, set up a time. I just want to ask a couple questions. How did you put yourself in this situation? How did you surround yourself with these type of people? He spent, about 30 minutes with me. I got to come in, see the clinic, see the gym, learn about more of the clinic and what that's doing. I've, again, always been interested in that type of stuff. So about a year later, they were looking for, a position, and kind of just stuck my head in there. And to backtrack a little bit, he gave me a cell phone number, which probably was a mistake at the time. And I religiously texted him once a week for literally a year, just checking in, just, being known, hey, I'm here, I'm ready.
That's really smart.
Yeah. A year later, that opportunity presented itself. Came in absolutely green, not knowing very, very much about that side of the business. Had a couple of mentors there that I was able to learn from. Super grateful for those individuals. Started pretty much, wasn't cold calling, but calling leads, trying to get them into the door as far as, interested in blood work and IVs, hormone therapy. Advanced, from that. I think I did that for about maybe 3 weeks before they actually brought me into the clinic and became their client advocate or patient coordinator, which is what we called it at the time. And from there, just, ran with it. Any opportunity that I had to learn about what we did. I wasn't listening to music in the gym anymore. It was podcast related to health and wellness, to comprehensive blood work, just doing everything I could, being that sponge to learn as much as I could to be able to serve our patients coming in the door, and then eventually a couple of years later started to oversee that clinic, and that's where I met Johnny.
Hey,
That's awesome. Any questions you got, Lucas?
No, it's interesting to see how the stories are kind of coming together. So I'm curious to see how you guys end up in Texas. And then, yeah.
we are too.
Yeah. No doubt about it.
All right. Well, there's a lot of little things from both stories that we can dive into. I'll probably come back to some of them because I definitely want us to keep moving the story forward where you guys are at and how you guys meet, and like to what Lucas just said. I mean, I think we all see where it's going, but just from your guys' perspective, like, okay, hey, you guys meet, what's the relationship like, and then like how does the thought become a reality of what you guys came up with and then were able to execute on to get you here?
Sure. So, I mean, I think you know a little bit of this, and I know you know a lot about this, but so coming back to meeting him and I was his client, really, at the flagship home location I was kind of entertaining other ideas outside the restaurant business. It was just my time,
Yeah.
Super thankful, super blessed. It was just my time to go another avenue. And then I heard about Relive doing franchising, and I'm like, okay. And I remember, I think I asked you, who do I talk to? And Cam. And I would see him at the gym, and I feel like he was dodging me a little bit, but one day I cornered him and I asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, I'm the guy. And I was like, well, let's talk. So we talked, had a great conversation, felt like we were a fit for each other. I gave him my story as far as my restaurant background, business experience, and I was already a fan of the brand. I was living it.
Yeah.
So then I was like, dang, this, if I do this, I need him out there. I don't know anything I know a little bit about business, a little bit, but
yeah.
he's so great at what he does. I was like, man, I wonder if he'd entertain this. And, in our home area, the territory's not available because there's already a clinic there.
Yeah.
So I asked what was available that they thought would be strong, and they're like, Scottsdale or Dallas. So
Both solid areas.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, Scottsdale, Arizona is gorgeous.
There's actually one opening up there. Any day.
I have family out there. I'm going to have to push them that way.
Yeah, they're good people, too. They came and trained with us. So I obviously have a better half. I have to run this by. Hey, I know we're having a great life here in Florida, but would you consider? So she knew some people out here in Dallas, so I had never been. We flew out here, had a great time, loved it, immediately fell in love with the area. Come back. We're kind of going back and forth. We're talking, We our friendship was like based on like not just client and that way, but we were like we'd buddied up.
Yeah.
Like people think that come to meet us now that like we're old friends. We're not,
Yeah.
And then so we would start talking, like we would go to the sushi place and kind of talk a little about business and stuff. And then I think when I actually signed, I don't think you were in at the moment. You were on the outside. And then the conversation came back because I was like, okay, well, I don't have Nick. I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna go for it. And then I think you came to me, or he would come to the restaurant. We would talk a little bit there. That's kind of how it all started. I'm like, hey, you know, did you ever think about doing a business? And he's like, I want to do Relive. And I'm like, I do too, you know? So like, well, let's link up and talk. So that's kind of going back, but that's how we initially started talking about business. And then, so I'm already signed for one, committed, you know, financially and legally to this location here. And then I was like, hey, we started talking again. I go, well, if you come, I'll go buy 2 more. So then there's, you know, it's a bigger opportunity for both of us. So then, wife, kid, 1 kid at the moment. And I was like, well, I guess, like, just come check it out. So the first time you came out was with me, not my wife. And night 1 was off to a bad start because the flights got delayed. There was no rental cars. It was a nightmare. And I'm like, this isn't going to go well. And then so we got through it. And then the next day, we just had a blast. Yeah, we went to like the Colony, and I think the Texas OU game was on, so we watched that, and we just had a good time. And I'm assuming shortly after that, you were like, we're in, you know, we're in for the commitment. So that was kind of how it came to be this area. And Flower Mound just fell on us. People ask, how'd you find Flower Mound? I didn't. My wife did, based on where her friends lived.
Oh, cool. Smart.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah, and
we used a lot of data and research.
Lots of data, research, metrics.
There's a software that the franchise will use. It's called Buxton.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, if you know somebody in an area, that's the best data you can actually have. Of like, hey, what's the area like? And if you're talking to somebody and asking the right questions, that's data. Mm-hmm. So, yes, of course, there's franchise software that you can use. But if you know somebody in an area, I mean, why would you not gravitate towards that?
Yep.
Nick, what were your thoughts? I mean, you have a stable life, married with a young kid, and you know your buddy who you guys are buds, but I mean, like Johnny said, you guys hadn't grown up. It's not like you guys have been best friends for 10, 15 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, another guy in your life who's a friend is like, hey, let's move to Texas. You need to convince your wife to leave Florida and come start a business in Texas.
Yeah, with the guy that owns the bar.
Yeah.
The guy that owns the bar wants to get into TRG. Okay.
Yeah. And you know, Johnny's restaurant back home is very, very well known as far as the locals go.
Yeah.
We would probably eat there, no judgment, probably about once a week. My parents, it was just a consistent. And I'll never forget, we were actually, I was sitting at the outside picnic table when we had that initial conversation of, hey, he knew that I wanted to open up my own business. I didn't necessarily know what that looked like at the time. I actually had a full business plan rolled out as far as like a recovery studio goes. The float tanks were super, super popular back then. Cold plunging, which I'm still a huge component of. Red light therapy. So I put this whole business plan together for my own individual, business. So, he knew that I wanted to open up a business. That's kind of when I learned that Johnny was looking for, his next opportunity in his venture. And it would just seem, perfect fit. Anyone that knows him, he's the most genuine person that I know. Mm-hmm. Always the hardest worker in the room, depending on what room he's in.
Debatable.
But I had, a family, right? And directly at that time, we had our little one, Jordan, who at the time, I believe, was 2 years old, just about 2 years old. We went on vacation. We were out of town. Our kitchen flooded. So we had a full reblown, restoration, I guess, if you want to call it that. So we got to pick out, obviously all of our finishes and pretty much made my wife, Jen, her dream kitchen and, living room, right? So this is all at the same time of just finishing this up. She loves the house. And then I, come with this question of, hey, what do you think, about, moving to Texas? Her first answer, I won't say out loud here. It was more of the...
We can fill in the blanks in our mind.
1,000%, right? And,
no.
At that time, there was a lot of things going on, in my life as well, where I actually had another opportunity to head to the Orlando location for some stake in a clinic out there. And this was actually backed by a very, very well-off individual. So, sitting down
Not me. It wasn't me.
Sitting down, having these conversations with my wife, it was, hey, I'm looking for my next opportunity. And at that point, it was pretty much Orlando or Texas. Going through, we made a list, obviously, and, just thinking where, this individual, very, very, well off, this is just one of 30 businesses that he owns. The financial aspect is not a problem. But I had this thing in the back of my gut just telling me, everyone performs when their back's against the wall kind of situation. And I knew coming to Texas in that situation, we had no opportunity but to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that want it.
Yes.
Yeah. I said not everybody.
The ones that want it. And
Yep.
you knew that you wanted it.
1,000%.
And so it's like, when you know, like, it goes, I know you guys have heard me say this before, like Jocko told me, like, discipline is rooted in the truth that we tell ourselves. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur until they realize, like, the actual work that goes into it. But you already knew your ability, your skill sets, and your actual desire. Talk is cheap, but you've already done it. You've done it. And so now you're like, oh, cool. If I've got to bet on myself, like, I'm going to go do it.
Yep.
That's awesome. And your wife had to have seen that in you. And also, I mean, whether your spouse is actively working a business or not, if you have a good marriage, they're in the business with you.
Absolutely.
And so,
1,000%.
she already sees your abilities. Your fiance, obviously
At the
believed
time,
in.
yeah.
At the time,
Yeah.
now wife.
Yeah.
Yes. But at the time, your fiance.
Thanks for coming.
Yes. And your fiance believed in you as well, which is very important. And so you're betting on yourself. You're betting on your spouse as your fiance. You're now betting on your business partner. And they're also betting on you guys.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool. You guys are taking us from Florida to Texas. There's a lot of pressure there.
Yeah, 1,000%. My parents, obviously, with a newborn, 2-year-old at that time, my parents are 5 minutes down the street. Her parents are 8 minutes down the street, right? So we were very family-oriented. Date night, whenever we wanted, we'd have a grandparent at the house to watch, JoJo. And, coming to Texas, we didn't know anybody. So that played a huge part in that decision as well. But we got Jen out here to come on that trip with us as well. And I mean, it's hard not to like this place.
Yeah.
Never in my life thought I would leave South Florida, ever, ever, ever.
What month did you guys come? Do you remember the
I
month?
think it was Texas OU. So what?
It's October.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. So that's not. I
Yeah.
mean, you didn't come in July.
It was
That
beautiful.
might have been a different.
No, but we
Might
did have a July experience as well. The
Yes.
heat.
Yeah.
But your first visit wasn't in July. That might have been slightly
Yeah,
different.
Yeah. Yep. But fell in love with the location, the area, obviously, and a lot of people will look back and have their conversations now and ask if I miss Florida. I obviously do. I grew up there. That's a huge part of me, and my family is there as well. But the people, man, the people in Texas are just true, genuine, good-hearted people. And I haven't found that, anywhere else of, having random conversations in the grocery store with someone that you don't know. That doesn't happen in South Florida.
Yeah,
It
that's
just
great.
doesn't.
I remember when that happened for me in Mississippi. And I was just like, this is crazy. I remember I called my parents. I was on a work trip. I'm a new guy in the SEAL teams. Go to the grocery store, and I remember this guy was like, hey, how you doing today? I'm like,
You talking to me?
I thought he was talking to like a buddy. I was like, good, sir. He's like, I'm from here, are you? I'm like, no, sir. He's like, military? I'm like, yes, sir. He's like, well, thank you for your service. And we just started talking. And it was just like crazy. And I just remember getting like back in the our government van, and I was headed back to Shaw's, and I called my dad. I'm like, this was the craziest thing ever.
Yeah.
Because you just don't, that's not a common thing. And
Right.
then, yeah, it's very common here in Texas, which is great. Okay, so first initial trips, you find the location, you're like, cool, this is the area we want to be. And then what are the next steps for you guys on the business?
So obviously was signed up.
Yep.
Signed up, committed, financially, legally. Then it's location, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm still living in Florida at the time. We pretty much bought a house pretty quickly in Corinth, and so I'm going back and forth. I'm still owning and operating the restaurant. They don't know at the time. So I'm going back and forth and just meeting up with the realtor to, to find a location and a couple options. And then the one that I made the move on, which you never saw, you know where it is now. But so we started negotiation, putting out LOIs, and then at the same time, I'm going back and forth training in Florida. So I'm flying to Texas to attack on some locations, but I'm training like franchisee training. Yeah. So I'm sitting through these awesome classes.
Yep. Yeah. Very
super fun.
Yep. Very
and
necessary.
Then where I'm going out, this is going on for 6 months, and I've been part of lease negotiation before. I did it with the restaurant, And then I'm in a class in Florida at Relive and Stewart, and I get a phone call. Hey, it could be another 3-4 months. I'm like, done. I've put enough time into this. Let's attack on location B, which in hindsight is where it is now. What a blessing.
Yes.
Worked out way better. It's a great spot. Great plaza there. Mm-hmm. Very strong. That intersection there, I think, is the busiest section in Flower Mound in Highland Village.
Yeah.
Justin and Long Prairie there.
Yeah.
So then it, goes working with architects, all that fun stuff, buying equipment, the build out, that whole fun part, which I do like that,
Yeah.
I do like that part. Dealing with the financials, all that good stuff.
How long did it take from that point until like doors open?
From construction starting to doors open, 4 months. It's pretty quick.
Bad.
Yeah.
Is that fast?
Yeah, I think it was a 72-day build out. And of course, things happen,
Yeah.
out of it. Wasn't the contractor's fault, just things happen, permitting, inspections, all that stuff. Yeah, I'd say probably about 4 months.
Yeah.
And then my wife, now wife at the time, fiance, she had moved to Texas December 27th of 2023, I think, 2024. 24.
Yep.
Still involved with the restaurant, still all in. And then it was like Christmas Day. We had packed up the house and to put it in a pod. And it's the day after Christmas. We're like, let's just go for it. It was just a random, let's just drive out, just get you out there. And she already had a job lined up. She's a dental hygienist.
Oh, awesome.
So for probably 6 months, every 2 weeks, I'd fly back and forth. 2 weeks work on the restaurant, come here for about a week and just whatever I can do at the time, which isn't much, observe and whatever, critique, whatever, build out stuff. And then somewhere along the line, he moved out with his wife and Jordan, I don't know, maybe April. Yeah. So he was living here at my house before I did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, which again, super grateful. They opened up the house. We wanted to take our time to kind of find the area that we wanted to be in and find the right place. And schooling obviously is very, very important for the little ones there. So yeah, we lived with Emily for, I would say about
it wasn't me. It was just her.
2.5, 3 months before we actually purchased our house and moved out.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, as Johnny's out here doing all these back and forth trips and everything, you're still working the clinic down in Florida. Do they know?
Yeah.
Like, at what point did you have to tell them, like, hey, guys, like, we're opening a place out in Texas. Like, I'm going to be leaving here. And did that change the dynamic, or were they, like, supportive since it's a franchise?
That's a good question, Nick. Why don't you?
It changed the dynamic a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
They were probably going ahead and, seeing what they needed to do to line up, the next person in that spot. So I spent a little time there training those individuals, my day-to-day and, just... And anyone that comes to our clinic, everything is experience-based. Having the top experience possible. There's, these clinics are popping up left and right, obviously, and I'm sure we'll get into that. But it's all about the experience for me. And I think every single one of our employees would be able to tell you the same thing. So, we ended up parting ways there. And then I was driving probably about an hour and a half, almost 2 hours to Orlando from where we were to help another Relive clinic get on their feet. Through some new ownership. So I spent probably about 2-3 months making that drive, putting miles on the truck, hotel rooms, staying away again from my family for, 2-3 nights at a time just to help them. Obviously we needed that, transition period, financially as well. So that helped out. And then once we were ready to go here and we had, the green light, we packed everything up ourselves, had our farewells to our family, and took the drive out here. So
What was that drive like?
it was long. We have two amazing friends that were actually our neighbors, Patrick and Ciara, who they drove Jen's Jeep behind us. So we were able to, me, Jen, and Jordan drove the truck out here. They followed us, which was obviously, we're super, super grateful for them, who actually
He rode with me too.
made a trip with Johnny as well.
My wife was already here, so he rode out with me.
Just amazing people.
What a solid human.
amazing people, man.
That's not, I mean,
He's okay. No, he's a great guy.
all right.
He's a great guy.
To
He's
do
fun.
like a 20 plus something hour
Yeah,
drive.
yeah.
How long of a drive is
It's
that?
about 19. If you hammer it out, like 19 plus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
So
took the time with
hammering it
the
out with a U-Haul is.
yeah
Yeah.
yep. We took our time just with the little one in the back. I think it took us about 3 days. We made a couple stops, stayed the night. But it was interesting. I mean, I've never drove kind of cross country in that territory, so it was a cool drive. It was a long drive.
Yeah.
A lot of good talks and opportunities and little moments that popped up in there. But it was good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you get here to Texas and like, what's the step? Like, what are you guys doing now? I mean, like, at what point it's like, okay, cool. Hey, we're going to get to open the doors. How early are you out here doing work that's kind of hard to see the fruits of at this point, right?
So I think the build out was finished just before we had to fly back to Florida for training.
Yeah.
So the build out's pretty quick. It's
Yeah.
at 72 days on ballparking units.
That's crazy.
That's quick.
That's
It was already, and the space was already pretty much fully demoed. I mean, there was like some skin coat that needed to be chipped out, but it was pretty much wide open. And then we flew the whole team back to Florida to do training, which was a great time. So in that meantime is when all the equipment started showing up, the laser, the hydrofacial. I mean, it's really not a lot of equipment. You've been in there. The chairs, all that stuff. So Emily, my wife, was here. I think she pretty much set everything up and
Took every
hung the
delivery.
pictures and
Yep.
the TVs. She's a beast.
That's awesome.
So then heading out for training, when we came back, now it's go time. Like it's a 1 week in clinic, like role playing and stuff.
Yep.
To the next week it's time to go.
That's awesome. So you found staff out here, and then you fly them to
Flew 'em
Florida,
to Florida.
Yep.
Yeah.
train them up.
Yep.
And okay.
Yeah.
Which we didn't even have. The location wasn't ready when we were hiring. So we were at Marty B's Coffee.
Marty B's Coffee was where we hired everybody.
Every single interview.
Well, most everybody,
most-
except for Max.
Yeah.
Because he was in Utah.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What was your process for finding the right person?
We have a software we use, Career Plug, which uses Indeed,
Pretty much plugged into
like
your
three
traditional.
main websites in one, and just put out an ad. And one of his many talents is he's a very good interviewer. He asks great questions. Once again, he's genuine. So I think even Mason, who I remember the first time we interviewed him, I was like, he's so young. I mean, I was like, and he's like, no, this is the guy. And I'm like, okay, well, boy, was I wrong because he's great,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's hard to judge. I mean, in this industry, you feel like you probably need somebody older, more
Right.
experienced. But in reality, it's like, no, I mean, if the kid, and I say kid because he's a kid compared to
Yeah.
me. I mean,
Yeah.
he's young, but he's not a kid. He's an adult.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
He's a grown man who is educated and also
Very, yeah.
extremely knowledgeable in your guys' industry, and not just from like a book smart standpoint, but just from like understanding how to connect things back to the client
Yeah,
and actually
absolutely.
be able to communicate that to the client.
Yep.
So, okay.
Yeah.
So you do this hiring process. You
A lot of
hire-
interviews.
A lot of interviews.
A lot of interviews. I said I don't mind interviewing 100 people to find that one right person. So we did a lot. We kind of set it up where the first interview would be a Teams call, just funneling through people, and then if we thought they would be a decent match, that's when we set that in-person interview up.
How many people do you think make the mistake that you guys didn't make by just, I think they'll be good enough? Because like what I just heard you say was very unique. I don't mind interviewing 100 people to find the right person.
I said, and that's tough sometimes because you with the first interview with whatever position it would have been in, it went really well. You're vibing because to me it's, and he's the same. It's not just are they passionate and knowledgeable about whatever position they applied for. I'm a vibes guy. We're going to spend a lot of time together. We need to get along. Even if the first one was like, man, this person was great, let's pull the plug. You'd be like, no. Or, let's pull the ad down. Like, no. We got to at least, it's happened for a couple of people where, maybe it was Morgan, I think we had a couple of people who your wife is, goes to see.
Huge fan of.
I think we were ready to pull the trigger on a couple of people, and then no. Then we meet Morgan, and how she's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, so training, bring them back, and then is the doors open, or is it what do you have it like? How are you keeping them engaged? I mean, so you hire them without having a place to actually work out of. So you're
hiring and paying.
Yeah.
So we would have some fun, We obviously we do marketing, a lot of meta stuff, and then we play some games. We did like team with me, team with him, and we split the staff up and we go drive around town to businesses that we would think would work together with us, gyms and sauna places, whatever, and we would just kind of just make a little friendly competition, and who had a better conversation or who got a good contact or whatever. So be enough to I like to have fun.
Yes.
So a little friendly competition and just keep busy and learning a lot of like role play situations for Mason, the client advocate position, which obviously he's the best in the game at, but getting people down to do like a fake consult, and trying to throw him some ringers and difficult questions just to see how he would handle it,
So you guys are training them right away.
Yeah.
So was this taught to you guys from Relive through the franchise training, or is it just something that you guys both knew, like, hey, to run a business, you have to take it serious. Like, you have to train your people, you have to role play, you have to use every single moment and opportunity you have to get your people engaged in where they need to be.
Sure. I mean, obviously we have guidance from corporate.
Yeah.
And I did have experience in business, but not this type of business. It's super different. I'm used to like pace, go, everything's time. Where this is, like you said, it's experience, right? That's what makes us different than everybody else. That's why I knew how much I wanted him, because of the experience. Obviously, was there a business dealing between a client, and him? Of course there was, but it never felt that way to me. Because we clicked and we hit it off, and I know how genuine he was. He wasn't trying to just sell me things, which I was trying to get better and my body better and my brain and my recovery better. So, and that's hard to teach. It's kind of, you really can't teach that. I mean, being genuine is just kind of who you are as a person. So yeah, we had some guidance, as far as recommended structure of the timeline of hiring to having the door open.
Yeah, nice. What was it like for your spouses and your fiance during this time?
I mean, mine was probably easy because she's so awesome that she's used to me not being there, because from my previous business I was never there. Yeah. So not that she's I know she loves me, I love her, and she's super supportive of me, but I think it was probably easy for her because now I'm home at nights, now I'm home on Sundays, so by default we're gonna see each other more.
That's cool.
The restaurant was open from 7 a.m. 10 p.m. every day.
Yeah.
And the weekends later. So just by that change of pace, we get to spend a lot more time together.
That's cool. What was it like for your wife with the little kid at this time?
Transition.
Yeah.
Again, obviously, both grandparents are, still back in Florida, moving to a new state, a new town. She had just actually started a new job herself a few months before us moving. So there was a lot going on, to say the least. She works from home, so she's remote. So obviously, she doesn't have so much interaction with people on a day-to-day basis, right? So she's best mother in the world, obviously. And spending that time, making sure she's doing everything she needs to do at work, but then also being able to provide to be the best mother and the best, wife. That she can. So it was definitely a transition, and still working on that transition for her, where it's kind of funny, back home in Florida, I've, didn't work as much as Johnny, obviously 24/7, 365 as far as the restaurant goes, but, 6 days a week, only having Sundays together, as a family. And it was tough. It was tough. It still is tough. You know, we just added a second baby girl and got number 3 on the way. But she was always like the social butterfly. I say, you know, she could talk to a wall and have a full-blown conversation. She's just super personable, again, like Emily. So she had, you know, all the friends back home in Florida and was the social butterfly as, you know, I was working consistently. And I didn't have many people, you know, back home. I grew up in that town. Obviously, everyone usually, you know, leaves and then eventually comes back. So I was okay with that. I was perfectly fine with that. And then coming to Texas, and I'm sure we'll get into that as well, just the group of men that I'm surrounded by now. You know, it was a little bit difficult for her at first because she was used to being that social person with you know, the friends and the connections and kind of seeing roles kind of reverse where, you know, now I'm introducing her to all these people and, you know, the wives of all these great brothers that we have. So, you know, a transition for sure, and we're working on that, and that's a day-to-day process. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's hard.
It is, yeah.
It's really hard.
Yep.
I like, yeah, and the reason why I asked about how your fiance took it and how your wife was taking it and how they're adjusting is because a lot of people don't understand like that type of a transition and move, how stressful it can be. And you have to be very intentional with your communication and your alignment with the people in your life. And you also have to be very understanding of what they're going through, because it's very easy for us. And I'm saying for us because I know Lucas's story and you know, my story, and from what you guys are sharing, it's very easy, and it can be a very dangerous like thing that we fall into of like, well, hey, I'm doing all of this for us. Just support me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I know you're going through some stuff, but I'm doing this for us. And I mean, you can do that, but it ain't going to work out. You're going to damage your marriage. You're going to damage that actual person, because then now you're just putting them in this box, and it's like, no, we have to be doing this together. And I love that both of you guys said like, hey, it was a transition, and you know, they were navigating it and I was navigating my stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, we have to navigate these things together with our spouses and then with our kids. And my kids are a lot older than your guys', so you're not really having to navigate too much with your kids because, I mean, your oldest doesn't really comprehend what's going on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, she knows that she doesn't live in Florida anymore, but
We got cows and horses you know, down the street. She loves it.
yeah, so she's living her best life.
Yeah.
But I just think it's really important that our listeners also remember, like, hey, you need to maintain you need to maintain alignment with your spouse, your significant other, and then as you're going through these things, yes, you're pursuing whatever it is you're pursuing to provide a better life for them. That's awesome, but you have to be doing that together. There has to be communication. You have to be intentional with giving them some alone time, giving them time to go do their own thing, and just really just maintaining that alignment, because somebody can, if you're not attentive to that and to their needs and making them feel like they're included in what they're doing, you can actually change that person, and then that person can start to shift and change, and then animosity grows and separation, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, hold on, how's our marriage at this point now? Like, I've been doing all these things for us, and then there's resentment on your end and bitterness and everything, and it seems like you guys are doing a good job navigating that. And it's probably not perfect, which I've never met anybody that had that perfect transition, but knowing who you guys are, I think you guys set a really good example of that, and I'm proud of you guys as men, as believers, for how you guys handle that. And so what was the so you opened the doors. What was it like? Did you have a bunch of...
Sure. So the soft opening was September 2024. Good start. We have some support. The Miller family was there. And then it was all set up for the grand opening, which was in October. So then we're promoting heavily. Once again, it's mostly on Meta. Starts off pretty good. September, October, we crushed it. The grand opening month was great. And then we got into November and December, and it was a little challenging, because I'm used to my only past experience in business, we just hammered it from the get-go. We were just blessed. We just, but it had to, because how financially stretched we were. If we didn't hammer it from the get-go, it was going to end before we even got going. It was interesting. But I learned a lot from that, you know. So, you know, November, December, you know, January, you know, it's still kind of flat. It's not trending, and then February, the infamous February of 2025. Was we took a big leap, and I remember I was stressed, man. I'm just financially burdened. I mean, it was rough. I mean, I love the team. I believed in the team, the experience that they're given, and then February made a big jump, and I remember I've told the story, maybe not to you, but I mean, the month closed out, and I remember I cried to him in the parking lot, and I was like, just thank God, you know, just overcome with emotion.
What was February like? Was there any defining thing, or is it just a blessed month?
I think it's just a blessed month, you know, just, you know, we could schedule people. Are they going to show up? You know, that's the name of the game right there, you know. We can schedule people all day. Doesn't mean you're going to come in the door. Yeah. So that's really the challenge, is getting people to come in the door. And I know that if they do, like whoever's had a consult with this guy, they know what it is. Yeah. You're going to get that experience that you're not going to get anywhere else. And even with Mason, you know, you're not going to get them two together as a team. You know how smart and genuine they both are, and their styles are different, you know, but both are just going to be a top-notch experience. So I know if you ever get to experience that, you don't need to be a client of ours. That's fine, but just to experience that, you know that this is genuine and they know what they're talking about, and that this isn't a transactional experience, you know. It's, you know, the family environment, which we push from day one, even in our interviews, is very important. And we like that with our clients as well, you know, because they become, how many great friends have we made that are clients, you know? Yeah,
that's awesome. How'd you guys come across deciding to train jiu-jitsu? Because you've never trained jiu-jitsu before.
I think you talked about this a little bit.
Yes, I know this, but I want our listeners and Lucas
first time story. So, and he just looked it up. January 20th. Just because I know he just told me last week. Guy comes in, scheduled client, blood work. You may be familiar with him, Ryan Kramer.
Oh, yeah.
A.K.A. Kramer. Yeah, comes in, and he just has this vibe to him. Hey, I'm a vibes guy.
Glowing, too. Yeah.
I'm a vibes guy.
Yeah, yeah.
You know? So I don't really, you know, I'm not technically working there. I'm just kind of, you know, I'm kind of hanging out. And he's got a vibe. We start talking, and then I wanted to try jiu-jitsu years ago. Like, I remember watching like the first UFCs of my dad. My dad's like big into that, and he loves like Hoist Gracie is like my dad's goat. So, and I could just never, maybe I just didn't have enough in it for me to go on my own. I wanted someone, hey, will you come try with me? And no one ever want to go.
That's a common thing. I mean, that's actually more common than you would actually realize.
So I'm pressing Max, our nurse.
Okay.
Who you know.
Yes.
To try jiu-jitsu with me. No. Max, strong believer. Great guy. And then Kramer comes in. He does blood work with Max, comes out, and I hear him. What are they talking about? Talking about a little Jesus, talking about a little jiu-jitsu. So I give Max a hard time. I go, oh, now will you come try jiu-jitsu with me? Because we're talking about Jesus. So Kramer's like, yeah, I'm, teaching Thursday. Come down. So he agreed, and we went and tried it on Thursday. So my first ever rolls. My first one was Kramer. My second one was Isaac. So I'm just blessed that I actually ever went back,
His first round was with Ryan Kramer. Second round with Isaac Talefa. But those guys are so good and genuine. Like, and you're brand new. Like, that's actually probably two of the best rounds you could have had.
I wouldn't change it.
Yeah, because if you went against some other spastic white belt, that you might have been like, dude, this sucks, or you get hurt, and that's why it's really smart. I love that's the way how we do things at Double Five. It's like, oh, cool, you're brand new, cool, yeah, you're gonna go roll with Isaac, you're gonna go roll with Kramer, you're gonna go. Was it a morning class you guys went to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been to a few of those.
Yeah, Formiga was actually out of town. I think he was probably in Brazil.
Crazy. You hadn't even met.
No.
Oh yeah, if it was January.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been.
Well, he was always usually at the beginning. No,
he might have been competing or something.
No, he was in Europeans.
I think you're right. Yes,
because that's about the time of the year. Because he leaves as we're recording that. So as this is launched, Formiga is overseas, getting ready to compete in Europeans. So keep him in your prayers. But yes,
amen.
He leaves tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I just saw him on Tuesday, and he's gone, so he won't be there tomorrow.
Yes, be there tomorrow morning.
So yeah, that was kind of the whole intro. And then I had, so we're having a little faith talk in there, and I met, Will Tate, and
Great human. They've actually known each other for how long?
20-something years.
Oh, wow.
wow,
Yeah.
did not know that.
He managed the power team when.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
When Team Impact was.
Sorry, Team
was
Impact.
yeah, that's how I know. I've known Isaac since Isaac was a kid.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I was tasked with keeping Isaac and his brothers out of trouble whenever we were on.
way
the
to
road.
go, man! I'm sure
They
you
would
did great.
stuff
Yeah.
them with me in the sound booth, and they're like, "Don't let him touch anything, kill." I'm like, what? Where are you going? Yeah, so
Awesome.
You guys are pretty much the
good.
same size.
yeah, but, oh, really? When he was
Twins,
when
twinsies.
he was 12 and I was 19, yes, we were pretty much the same size. Yeah, it's more accurate than I would care to admit. But yeah,
Yeah, so we were just so I started training consistently. So I signed up pretty much immediately, and then when we're having faith talks, and me and Nick were starting our conversation, get a little more curious, because we both kind of have a similar background as far as Catholic. Once again, I mentioned I went to Catholic school, and then through high school I was just distant. Youth group, was involved in that, and then skateboarding, punk rock, nope,
Yep.
yeah.
distant. And then, even still, the Lord blessed me with all my success at the restaurant. That's even without having really, not a close relationship, I would say. So me and him were kind of talking. Now I'm having conversations at Jiu-Jitsu at Formigas. And then I had been training Jiu-Jitsu for probably months, and I'm like, I'm meeting some brothers, man, and we're having good conversation. But I'm like, I need to get him. Like he wasn't interested in jiu-jitsu. And I'm like, I need to get Nick to get locked in with these guys too. So I think it was Will and Isaac and Kramer. Like, would you guys come meet us at the clinic? Like morning, grab some coffee and just, talk some faith. And then they did. And then that was kind of the start of the whole men's group, which we do every Tuesday. Now we host at the clinic. And just to shoot a number at you, I think, so it started with 4 or 5 with us. In the group chat alone, it's 32 guys. And that's not everybody's in the group chat, so it's probably about, if people who have at least come once and been a part of it, it's probably about 40 people.
Yeah.
And brothers.
Yeah, that's so cool.
That's awesome, man.
That's the way it should be. So, what was your first experience on the mats?
It was tough. It still is tough. But yeah, I mean, we started that group, and Johnny is just like meeting all these people, and you got to meet them, and obviously gravitated to every single one of them. All amazing people. Might have took a couple weeks, and then
We were pressing them hard, especially Will.
Nah, that's gonna
went
happen.
in, did my little intro class, and got a little private with Formiga, which
I
Johnny
was
might have been a
hating
little
on him.
jealous
I'm like,
of.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, signed up, that morning as well. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
And you guys, what's been your commitment to jiu-jitsu? Are you like, hey, I'm gonna at least try to get once a week, twice a week? I mean,
I'm pretty in it right now.
the evenings are hard for you guys, obviously,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
the clinic and family life and everything. Have you guys done a good amount of evening classes at all, or no?
I do. I'm
Just
religious.
straight morning.
3 morning classes, and then I'll do the open mat at Rob's place on Sundays.
Oh, nice.
So I'm 3 to 4, minimum 3, sometimes 4, and then I'll link up with D-Rod Rodriguez.
Yep.
Sometimes for, some, quote unquote
Just
private.
one-on-ones. Yeah,
So
awesome.
I'm like 3 to 5 times a week.
That's all. That's a lot, man. Which is
Complete opposite on
Amazing.
the side.
yeah. And you're what, like twice? Once a week?
No.
Once every 2 weeks?
Yeah, about
Okay,
maybe.
cool. Yeah.
It's with baby number 2. It's just
That's what I was just gonna say.
schedule
bro, you
has
got-
been insane. Sleep is pretty much non-existent. Even though I get a lot more than my wife, bless her soul. So
Yeah.
I started twice a week, fell into once a week, and now I'm good if I make it once every 2-3 weeks.
I mean, that's the season of your life, though.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's kind of what's going to happen with people, and people
Yeah.
have to understand that jiu-jitsu is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
If you love it, you can do it literally for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what Formiga is so good about is, sorry.
Bless.
Oh, thank you. Formiga knows that.
Yeah.
And, there are other gyms where, like, the professors will actually like make you feel bad and, you know, punish you if you're not in there. Like, I don't care. You got to be here no matter what. This should be a priority. You're like, that's a great way to lose a student.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to remind me of like, oh, no, actually, I'm a grown man. I'm
Yeah.
going to make my choices. And
Yep.
Formiga is just so good about it. Like, hey, get in when you can.
Yep.
That's the thing I also like about Formiga is because he knows people have lives and families and businesses. There's been times where I've, you know, I didn't show up because I was going to be late, and I told him, and he told me, he's like, hey, I don't care if you are only able to come for 15 minutes. Come for 15 minutes, get a couple rounds in, and then I and a few other people will stay after and roll and or train with you.
Yeah.
He goes, come no matter what. And for me, when I found out that that was a genuine thing, I was like, okay, well, one, there's just something different about him. And then I was like, oh, this makes jiu-jitsu fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm not stressed about showing up late. Because I know none of us at this table is going to be like, oh, all right, cool, I'm 30 minutes late, no big deal. I would rather just not go
that's
than
how
be
I am.
that late.
For sure.
But for me, it was like, no, do not come. Do not come because
Yeah.
you're going to be late. Like, you be here. And I was
Yep.
like, yes, sir.
Yep.
So, I mean, Johnny, you're just on the warpath training
Yeah,
right
yes.
now.
Well, I was out for a couple months.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're making up some time.
Yeah, but I still went.
Yep.
Didn't miss it. I missed one class observing when my boot and crutches, and that was, I think, when I had my surgery.
That's awesome. And so since, you know, just training at 555, what was the transition like, you know, from, you know, your guys' Catholic upraising to, okay, cool, Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu, you're around the guys, you guys are doing these men's group Bible studies at your location. You know, that's a big thing for a lot of the guys at 555 under Formiga. And then to, hey, let's go try out the village.
So I had been training there for however long at the time, and I had never seen him at the time.
Yeah.
This guy Matt Chandler
Yeah.
shows up to the morning class. I'm like, who's this guy?
Yeah,
You
he's
know?
just skinny,
Like, I'm already,
spastic blue
yeah.
belt.
I'm thinking I'm already in. Like these are my boys. Like, and who they're dapping up this guy. I'm like, I don't even know who he is. And then he'll laugh at that. And then
Such a skateboarder thing to do.
yeah. So
Those are my friends.
I never really grew up. Yeah. How'd you know that dap so well?
Yeah.
So I think I rolled with them. And then me and him have the joke about whatever. I think the first time we roll, I passed him, and I have him in side control, and he goes, "All right, Johnny, what are you gonna do?" I go, "I don't know, but I got here, so
Like,
I don't."
I've never been here before.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, look what I did.
Yeah. So we still joke about that to this day, but and I'm thinking I was sitting one out with Formiga, and they're like, "Do you know who that is?" And I'm like, "Matt, the blue belt." And then I think he already knew who he was. I had no clue. And then I was going to ACC, Argyle Community Church at the time.
Oh, cool.
And then he started going to the village, and he kept trying to get me to go there. But we were pretty happy at Argyle.
Yeah.
Pastor Tim's great.
Yeah.
I do love him, Tim Bach. And then eventually I went, and I kept going back. I never went back to ACC, no disrespect.
No, I mean,
I just really like Chandler.
there's a lot of really good churches. There's
Yeah.
a lot of really good churches in the area. You know, Lucas has this church. I go to Milestone. You guys go to the village.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of other really good churches. It's like, hey, find a church that you can connect with. It's like, where is your soul being fed?
Sure.
And that's where you should be.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, also it's got to be easier to connect with going to the village when you're rolling with the pastor.
Right.
When you're training jiu-jitsu with the pastor.
Because he feels like he's just one of us, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know you do the same. You know?
Yes. Yeah.
We've
I
rolled.
don't roll jujitsu.
Hey.
Yes.
We have rolled before.
We have.
We have rolled before.
like,
We have.
About a long time ago.
It
But
was,
we have.
yeah, it was months ago.
Yeah.
The last time I went.
We're going to change that, right?
We're one thing at a time. We're gonna get everybody in my family over the flu, and then we'll figure out what jiu-jitsu looks like in 2026.
Yeah. We're going to make health a priority. And, you know, and that's another thing is, you know, health is such a big thing for all of us and our families. And, you know, you also have to, you know, with jiu-jitsu, just like business, you have to give yourself a little bit of grace.
Yeah.
It's okay if you can't show up to jiu-jitsu every day.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, with business, you have to show up every day.
Absolutely.
And so you guys are building the business. Like what? I mean, so you meet Kramer. A few of us from Double Five start rolling in there. You know, like I said, I had an incredible experience with you guys. So did my wife, my family, and you know, all of our friends and family that we've referred to you guys. I was extremely impressed by the blood work. Like I had never had that thorough of a blood panel ever done before.
Yeah.
And is that just like the baseline for Relive? Like, is that your guys' standard? And is that
That's
not common with a lot of other clinics out there? Because I know there's a bunch of them popping up all over the
Yeah.
place.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard about Relive, right?
Mhm.
I've not had the experience. You guys have talked a lot about the experience. So kind of walk us through what that's like, what you guys do there. And, you know, JP's talked a lot about the blood panel. So what is that? Like, if I'm coming in as a new customer, give me the mock experience. What am I going to get?
You know, so you're coming in, you sit down, all of our patients, all of our clients, no matter what service you're coming in for, sits down with our client advocate. So no matter if you're coming in for aesthetic services, blood work, and IV, you have that experience of actually sitting down with the client advocate. We discuss, you know, why are you here? You know, what are your goals? What are you looking to accomplish? And from there, we can kind of, you know, create a game plan for you moving forward, right? So even as simple as an IV, right? A lot of these clinics, you know, you have an IV. I'll talk to patients, you know, they go down to, you know, an IV spot down the road, and usually there's a big TV when you walk in with all of their different IVs, you know, on the TV, and oh, you know, energy bag looks good. I'm a little, you know, low on energy, so they pick the IV bag. They have no idea what's in it, how it's going to benefit them. So, you know, coming in, setting that expectation, hey, you know, my energy's been a little bit low, you know, not feeling like I normally usually felt. That gives us an opportunity to dig a little bit deeper. We're all about digging deeper, finding the root cause of an issue, to provide a solution for that root cause compared to just throwing a medication at a symptom.
Yeah.
So as simple as, you know, coming in for an energy IV, you know, that opens up that door for us. Well, hey, you know, we have the opportunity to dig a little bit deeper. Is this IV bag going to, you know, be beneficial for you? Sure. You know, it could be a short-term solution, but, you know, if you're interested in digging a little bit deeper and finding out why your energy is always low, you know, we have this comprehensive blood work panel that we have. And, you know, as JP mentioned, we do a very, very comprehensive blood work. And that's usually the first question that I'll ask a patient when we're sitting down. You know, have you had comprehensive blood work before? A lot of them will say yes, and they have no idea what the word comprehensive means. Everyone is used to your standard, you know, 20, 25 biomarker panel that usually you run with your primary care, OBGYN, whoever that physician might be. So our comprehensive panel is about 62 biomarkers, which might not mean much for, you know, the standard person, but it's about 5 to 6 pages worth of blood work, where a lot of these individuals walk out from like a primary care, it's half a page, maybe a full page worth of blood work. And then from there, you know, if we do draw labs, that at that time, we usually bring you back about a week later. That's when you'll actually review those labs with our physician. Who literally spends an hour with you, which is unheard of. There's no clinic out there that you are able to sit down with a physician, have a true, genuine conversation, create a relationship with for 60 minutes. So at that time, she'll obviously review medical history. She will go over that blood work line by line, biomarker after biomarker, explain what it means, explain, you know, if we can have a little improvement in that area. So she'll go over that. She'll go over any symptoms that you're experiencing, any goals that you have, so she can truly customize a protocol for you at that time. And I always love to mention to all of our patients, we're a clinic that treats blood work and symptoms. A lot of these, you know, primary cares or other hormone clinics, you know, a men's testosterone range on a standard blood work is anywhere from about, nowadays, I think 150, 200-ish to 700. So you come in and you're 225, you fall within that panel or that range. You're low normal, but everything's good because you're within that range. And you can't tell me an individual at 225 and on therapy at 800, you know, 900 is going to feel the same. It's just not. It doesn't work that way.
Well, and not even close. Like we're not. And the thing that I learned is it also depends on the individual, your background, your life, because your physician said something to me that no other doctor had said to me since I've been on TRT since I was 30, so almost 13 years. She said, yes, these ranges that we want men to be in are ideal. However, she goes, given your background and the life you lived, that would be low for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nobody had ever told me that, because all these years that I'm like, okay, I got to be in this range. Okay, I'm here. And that's all they would put me at. And I'm telling the clinics and these physicians and these different people, like, I still feel like crap. Like, I feel better than when I was at, 180.
Yeah.
I feel better than when I was at 80, 7.
Yeah.
But this is like pretty crappy.
Yeah.
And then she was like, yeah, no kidding.
Yep.
Because of the life you lived in the SEAL teams and just the sleep cycles and the stress and the, the fatigue to your body and the like all those things. She goes, no. She's like, this is where I want you. And she's like, we can maintain this for the rest of your life at a very healthy state. Like longevity, we can maintain that. And I was like, oh, I love this woman.
You have to treat the symptoms. You have to treat the symptoms and the blood work. Very, very important. And just a lot of people don't do that, right? So, she'll pretty much make her recommendations, and then either she will come sit down with myself or Mason, who's our client advocate there at the clinic, go over that list of recommendations, and then Mason or myself will come in, sit down with the patient, and pretty much go over those options and build that program out for you, right? Everyone has different financial, means and what their goals are. So, hormones, I always tell people, are your foundation, right? If we're building a house, we want to build that house on the strongest foundation to make sure that house doesn't crumble. That's your hormones. As a female, as a male, we have to get those hormones optimized before we can do anything else. So we'll put that program together for you. If that looks like a prescription, a TRT or testosterone, progesterone, estradiol for females, whatever that might look like. And then supplementation is huge as well. There's a lot of these symptoms that patients are coming in that we have, supplements to be able to aid in these symptoms and treat. And a lot of the time when we're able to pair that with a HRT therapy with the supplementation, and then you add the peptides and all the amazing stuff that we have access to, it's just night and day. It's a game changer for all of our patients, and it's all about the experience again. And patients start feeling better. Really having these conversations with patients coming in, and that might look a little different for the patient, right? Someone might take 2-3 months to start feeling better. Especially the females, their body's super complex, so it might be start here, let's do some follow-up blood work, make an adjustment here, follow-up blood work until we get, where we need to go. So, that could be 2 months, that could be 3-4 months down the road for usually like the females. But having those conversations with these patients coming in the door and, just hearing their stories of, it's life-changing. They're able to, have the energy, they're able to wake up, they're able to have the energy to go outside and play with their kids, which they never thought they'd do. Medical weight loss, done correctly with correct, dosing protocols and nutrition on top of that. It's changing people's lives. And just to have those conversations is those reminders that I need, because we're in this, day to day. We kind of, and I tell my staff this all the time, we're very, very fortunate to do what we do with the people that we get to do it with. And sometimes we can forget, the impact that we're having on a lot of our patients' life. So just having those, those stories and patients coming in and seeing those results that they have, I wouldn't change it for the world.
And just for our listeners also as well, like hopefully if you have questions, you reach out to Nick and Johnny at Relive Health. I did my consultation over the phone because I'm busy. I wasn't able to be at the clinic. And so they also have the flexibility to do these things remote as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so obviously, depending on where you live and, within the legal parameters, but you don't have to live in Flower Mound for Nick and Johnny to take care of you, which is awesome.
Follow-up blood work.
Yep.
I can't say that word enough, where, a lot of these clinics will start you off on a protocol, and then your next blood work is 6 months, a year down the road. That blows my mind that even happens. We've had patients come in that get prescriptions from other places without even having blood work, which is wild. The way that we have everything set up is once our patients move forward and they start the program with us, we do initial 6-week follow-up blood work.
That's covered.
That we cover. We cover the cost of that first one for you guys. It's probably going to be the most important blood work that we do. Let's see where those levels are in the serum as far as the hormones go, some other biomarkers, obviously, that we look at. And again, coming back to symptoms, how are you feeling? It's been 6 weeks since you've been on your protocol. What changes have you seen? What changes that you haven't seen? Let's make some pivots in a couple areas here to get you to that optimal level. And then once everything's usually dialed in, we do blood work, follow-up blood work every 3 months. So after that 6-week follow-up, another panel in 3 to 4 months, we practice preventative care, right? It's preventative care and not reactive care. We want to find these issues, if anything is arising, we want to find those before they become a problem. And a lot of these clinics will just not follow up, with the follow-up blood work. They have your money, they got you as a patient, and all they're doing is, sending that next order out. And, especially in your case, if you're not doing follow-up blood work, we don't know, we have no data, we have no interaction with you sitting down with the physician again to make those adjustments. So that follow-up blood work's very, very, very important. It's a part of the game. It's how it should be done. I don't know how these other clinics operate and have a business and don't provide the experience that we do. It doesn't make sense to me because I think everyone should have that experience. And again, that's just not the case. It doesn't happen. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys are like the Ritz-Carlton. You guys provide the best experience, and there's nothing that you guys take for granted, and you guys treat your customers the way every business should treat their customers. And it's just, like you said, it's just crazy that people aren't doing that. What are some of the other services? I'm sorry, did that answer your question or any other questions?
That got us started. There's a lot that I'm really curious about in this whole process, though, right? Like, certainly, to answer JP's questions, like wondering what the services and things are and what kind of stuff you guys offer, because there are different aspects of this, right? You mentioned there's an aesthetic aspect.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things that have to do with people's individual goals, right? Whether it is like just to get healthy. Like I'm thinking in terms of my folks, particularly my dad, right? Multiple back surgeries, had in 22. And at the beginning of 22, ended up in the hospital with 2 different COVID variants, plus whooping cough and double pneumonia. Ended up on, some post-chemo treatments and a high dose of prednisone to just kind of like wipe his immune system out to help him start from scratch because everything had been like so rough. Was on oxygen for about 9 months after living a really active life prior to that.
Yeah.
And since then, just a lot of health up and downs, emergency quintuple bypass in September, and now trying to figure out, after having lived a relatively healthy life, the last 3 years for him have been incredibly rough. And during that time, missed out on a lot of things with grandbabies and stuff like that, which, that was his dream, is to just go and play with the grandkids. And it seems like every time he's getting close, there's something else that's happening. But being unclear of, what his future can actually be from a health perspective, because physicians are so vague. He's bouncing around from one to another. Doesn't seem to be getting a lot of straight answers. And I think for some people, what you guys do at Relive, it seems like it is so far outside of the norm of the kind of business of medicine, right, within the United States, that it's like, you know what, I don't know if I'm going to try something that's, maybe that risky. Because for some people, like, getting outside of this comfort zone of where they've been in, what the physicians have told them and all that, seems like a massive thing. And yet there are other people, like in my dad's case, where he's just looking for something that can give him some clarity, because his doctors aren't talking to one another well.
Yeah.
And one of them will, not to, violate HIPAA or anything, but he's in the same situation that several of the people in my congregation and other friends that I have that are, in that same age bracket is, a doctor prescribes him something and the other doctor's like, well, why would he put you on this? And now all of a sudden you've got experts that are going at it, and none of them are really advocating for the patient. So if somebody like my dad comes into the office, which I'm recommending for him to do, right?
Yeah.
To just check some things out, where you have someone who's a little timid, but their whole intention of getting here is, hey, you know what? I want to play with my grandkids.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I've only got, I've had quintuple bypass, the docs are telling me like maybe 20 years, maybe 30 years, like who knows when these valves are going to wear out, and when these bypasses are gonna go. What's a person like that who's coming in that just wants to live? Their goals are obviously very different than the guy that comes in. It's like, I got bicep tendonitis. I want to keep working out until my 60s. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
Right. So how do you put somebody like that's mind at ease whenever they're coming in?
Yeah, that's a good question. First off, I think that you have to be your own advocate with all of the different perspectives and medical doctors out there. You mentioned none of them are on the same page, right? You have to do your due diligence to, there's plenty of research out there, diving into that personally, but relating that back into the clinic of just having them come in, sit down for that initial consult. And see, depending on the situation, see what we can do that would be able to benefit you, right? We don't practice medicine outside of our scope. We're, very, very good at what we do, but we stick to what we know. And I think that's where, some of these clinics and other physicians might get, stuck up, where, they're kind of, trying to bridge the gap between, two different situations. So we definitely want to stay in the scope of what we do, but having that conversation, starting with something as easy as a comprehensive blood work, starting from the bottom and kind of working your way up there, sitting down with the physician. Amy is our physician at the clinic. She's amazing. I can't say enough good things about all of our staff there, but she does a phenomenal job of allowing you to create that relationship when you go in and sit down for that blood work review. Don't get me wrong, it can be a little, we have patients coming in and they're super nervous. This is a huge step that they're taking in their health journey to be able to open up and be vulnerable, and say, hey, yeah, I do suffer with this. And Amy does a phenomenal job creating a comfortable environment, allowing those patients to open up and, express what they need to express and go over all the symptoms. She's a female, obviously, and we have guys on TRT, and, some guys aren't comfortable coming in and talking about maybe an ED issue that they're having. But she does such a great job of creating that environment, being just open and honest with the patient. And, if it's outside of her scope, she will tell you that. And, we'll work with you to find the best, case to move forward. She has a lot of great resources that, she has connections with other physicians, depending on what's going on, that she'll be able to help refer out to. So really just starting with that comprehensive blood work and having that sit down with her and getting the ball rolling, and just getting information and data for you to be able to build off of. So.
Yeah, I know for me, it was just an experience unlike I'd ever had. And it just gives you more knowledge to make good decisions.
Yeah.
Knowledge is not power. The application of knowledge allows you to do powerful things. Mm-hmm. And so if you don't have education, if you don't have knowledge, if you're not being educated by your doctors, by your clinic, or doing it yourself, like, you're never going to be able to make good decisions. And that's the thing that I really liked about Relive and the experience I've had with you guys is, hey, here's all the information. Here's our suggestions from the physician. And then it was like, I hang up the phone and I get a missed call. And I was like, oh, and then it was Mason. I was like, holy crap. Like, this is crazy. that fast of a follow-up. And then and we're like, cool, let's talk through it. And then was able to come in and walk through stuff. And it's an experience it's pretty incredible. But what I also like is all the other services that you guys provide as well. You're not just, it's not just TRT and HRT. Like you said, you have some, healthy, controlled medical weight loss options. You guys have different supplements, and then you guys have different treatments as well, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously the hormone therapy is how the business started.
Yep.
So on top of that, we do medical weight loss. Obviously, it's a very popular, topic right now. And again, just knowing that you have a physician that knows what they're doing is so important. Especially with, hormone therapy, medical weight loss is becoming more and more popular nowadays. I almost feel like these clinics are popping up left and right, which is a good thing, right? Where, it's becoming more mainstream, quote unquote medicine nowadays. But on the flip side of that, just as a patient, do your due diligence to vet these people, these clinics, these physicians, because they're popping these things up left and right, and they're hiring whoever they can hire to get the doors open. And you're going in and you're having a consult or a blood work with a review with a clinician that has been doing this for 6 months. That's going to be a completely different experience and probably completely different protocol than sitting down with a physician like Amy, who has 6, 7, 8 years experience doing this, and personal experience herself. So, I'm not saying that you have to come to Relive Health to become optimized at all and feel better. But just make sure that you guys are doing your due diligence to, vet these places and these physicians that are, providing the care for you.
Yeah. You guys definitely have the experience. You definitely have that, and it's very apparent. And I think that's just a really important thing as well. Is like, hey, take ownership over your health. Advocate for yourself, but you also have to be able to do that research and be like, all right, I'm going to dig into these things. And hey, cool. Like, I would be very wary of going to a place that just popped up. And, if you're talking to them like, oh, well, this is my experience. And it's like, okay, well, who's the doctors and physicians behind this?
Yes.
And if they can't give you their background and how long they've been doing it, like, it should be a red flag.
Yeah, I've heard some horror stories, especially the medical weight loss. You have tirzepatide, you have semaglutide, very, very popular. I've had patients come in and tell me experiences of, going to nail salons and literally picking up preloaded syringes that they give them in a baggie with no prescription, with their name on it. It's wild. It's happening. It's out there. So again, just making sure it's a qualified physician. It's a qualified clinic is so important. Yeah. And then to kind of bounce back to your original question there, medical weight loss is a big one. We do peptide therapy, which obviously within the past 18 months, like you mentioned, is becoming more and more popular. It's been around forever. A lot of these peptides that a lot of people are talking about now have been around for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
But the popularity, is skyrocketing now. So we work with a compounding pharmacy out of Houston that is, in my opinion, one of the best in the country as far as peptides go. They make some really unique blends. Their turnaround time is great for our patients. Again, experience. And the pharmacy is not our business, but it's a part of our business. So, we have to vet these pharmacies to make sure that they're upholding their side to be able to provide that experience that, these patients don't care or don't know a lot of the time where the medication's coming from.
Yeah, no, they don't.
They know if we tell them, that medication is going to be there from, 5 to 6 business days, and our pharmacy is taking a little bit longer, that's on us. That's not on them. So peptide therapy, and then we have the whole aesthetic side of the business as well. So anything from hydrofacials, customized facials, VIPLs, laser hair removal, laser facials, microneedling, stem cell exosomes.
Okay, I'm super fascinated by microneedling because it's something that has in like the physical therapy world is this sort of gray area treatment that there's a lot of people that are like all in on microneedling because they were taught it, they love it.
Yep.
And then there are other people that is like microneedling is absolute snake oil.
Yeah.
Right. So, real quick, the short version of the process of microneedling, and then why? Because I've had it done. I thought it was an amazing treatment.
Yeah.
Right. It's it's really weird. So talk a little bit about the treatment and what kind of effects you guys have seen from it.
Sure, we might be talking about two different microneedlings.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
yeah,
we
yeah.
are.
So this microneedling is like a facial treatment for like fine lines and wrinkles and like scar stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's skin stylus, the pen,
Okay.
and I don't want to butcher it, but it's kind of like a tattoo gun almost.
Yeah, I
right?
would say closest thing to
Like
compare
it's
is
like-
like a tattoo
okay,
It's
gun.
like a
Gotcha.
controlled wound,
Gotcha.
Yep.
and then we'll utilize PRP and exosomes and whatever else we made. But that's what our treatment's for. So mostly a facial thing.
Okay, yeah.
It's not
so
like-
this is different.
Yeah, it's not like dry needling or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then Morgan, our esthetician, laser tech, who's just awesome at what she does, and kind of to touch on how all of our services work together, she's really curious and knowledgeable about hormones and stuff too. So she could come in for a facial treatment, and she could recognize that something on your face is due to like a hormonal imbalance. And then she can guide you to whatever, back to the blood work, right?
That's rad. Yeah.
So they all kind of work together, and she
Yep.
is the best esthetician laser tech in Dallas.
Yeah.
No
Yeah, and then
question.
as far as on the aesthetic side with like Morgan, she has a machine that's called the VisiaScan. So I like to call that the blood work for the face, right? So that's a tool that she's able to utilize for a lot of our aesthetic patients that come in. Pretty much you put your face in this. It uses AI technology. It takes 3 different pictures, side, and front. And it points out fine lines and wrinkles, bacteria on the face, pore size. It'll give you your true skin age. So it's another tool that we're able to utilize to make sure we're pairing the proper treatment for what your goals are and what this analysis is coming out, saying. And then it's really, really cool to be able to see a lot of these patients that are, continued patients with Morgan, where she'll throw them on the Visia, a month, 2, 3 months, and track the progress and actually see their true skin age is reversing, showing that, hey, these treatments are actually working. They're
cool.
benefiting you. So,
Did you try that? Have you tried it?
I have not.
we got to get
I'm
you
assuming
on
the
there.
missus, Amanda, I'm assuming has tried it.
I'm sure
Maybe.
she has.
Yeah. She's great, by the way. We love her. Shout out, Amanda.
She is amazing. Yeah, and then the different IV therapies and bags and options and NAD and
Yeah.
all that fun stuff.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
There's a lot of stuff out there, and
What is NAD? You guys have thrown it around
NAD
a few
plus.
times. Yeah. And what is NAD?
It's a coenzyme that exists in every single cell in our body, and just as our hormones decrease as we age, and that NAD storage decreases as we age as well. So we do a lot of NAD therapy. We like to usually start with NAD infusions, a higher dose to able to, pretty much give you a higher dose of that in the system. A lot of people will start with like subcutaneous injections, which the injections are a lot of a lower dose. So it might take you a little bit longer doing an injection over a period of time to see the benefits of NAD, compared to, with JP, we got him in there, and starting with that 750 milligram IV infusion, which takes most people
Hours.
2 to 4 hours for that drip. JP,
He's like squeezing the bag.
No. Hey, JP took 2 hours as we recommended for every of our clients.
No, I opened up that bag and then asked for a larger gauge needle the next time. I mean, because it's just a discomfort level.
Yeah.
Like there is no negative effects on the body if you take it fast. It just because you can explain why your body you just feel
Shortness of breath, chest pressure on your chest.
I didn't feel shortness of breath. I felt achy.
Flush, maybe?
Maybe. But I just blacked out, went somewhere else. And no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, NAD is absolutely incredible. Like, absolutely incredible. You feel the difference. Like, there is no denying that you feel the difference with those bags because they're loading like such a large amount into you.
Yep.
And the goal was to do 5 bags within 2 weeks. So you just have this saturation of that in your body, and then you can get the injections prescribed to you. I was like, cool, I want to do this. I want to do this before this time frame, and did it. And my days are pretty busy. I don't have 2 to 3 hours to sit in the clinic. I love it because they have the TV up. It's very educational. I'm sitting talking with Nick and Johnny and meeting different people that are in there for regular IVs. And the first time they're like, yeah, so, kind of take, you just slow it down. And I just, Max walks away and I just open up the line a little bit. And then, just by feeling it, I was like, oh, I can feel that. And then I got used to it. And I was like, open up the line a little bit more. And I remember one time Max came in and he goes, man, that line is really flowing. I was like, yeah, I opened it. He's like, bro. And then I think he told you guys or something. I don't know. I can't remember the very first time. And then, but I timed it. And then because I am competitive, I wanted it to be faster and faster. And then my very last one, I'd like straight up, like, because they knew it. And I told them, I was like, I want this. And so they gave me a larger gauge needle. Or line, I guess I should say. And, man, I just, as soon as it was in, I let that thing flow. And I just positioned my arm, and I held my arm basically in an arm bar position. Right. I wedged it between the two chairs and just sat there.
Slide.
And it was just like, just let it flow. I mean, it was like there was no drip. Yeah. It was a flow.
Straight stream.
And, it was very quick.
Yeah.
Very efficient with time. We'll just say that.
Yes. Better term there.
Yeah. And that one checks all the boxes. I mean, you see, Khloe Kardashian, Bieber, posting their videos of them doing NAD, saying they're going to live forever. So just great aging, energy, cognitive benefits there. Sounds super, super silly, but like colors are brighter. Everything is just engaged. Again, just getting you to those optimal levels. And then even as simple as, IV therapy, coming in, sitting down with myself or Mason and, why are you here? What do you want to accomplish out of this IV bag? Oh, I'm just hungover. Maybe, we have a, hangover bag. A lot of patients will come in when they feel like they're getting sick. So we're actually able to, a la carte, create these bags for these patients. Ingredient by ingredient instead of literally just picking from the TV, again, not knowing what's in it. Allowing them to know, hey, this is what's in this bag and this is how it's going to benefit you. Awesome. And setting those expectations, right? A lot of patients will come in, and I've talked to patients before where they come in and do an energy bag and, they didn't feel much benefit, the next day. It's setting that expectation. Well, if you're not deficient in B12, you're probably not going to feel, a big boost of energy because you're not deficient in it. So you're still getting the benefits of the hydration and the other amino acids, the glutathione that we usually follow up the bag with. So just that custom catered approach compared to just picking an IV off the TV and not knowing what you're getting, what to expect from it.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you guys spending the time. I could sit here and nerd out, and I know Lucas could too for another couple hours, but, you guys have a business to run as well, and I know you guys got to get there soon. So I just want to say thank you. And Lucas, we're going to quickly close it out with a few things, and then just kind of for both of you guys as we close it out, if you could leave our audience with one piece of advice to help them just win in their health, sobriety, marriage, business, life in general, what would it be? So just kind of think about that. We're going to close it out with a few things. And then also, to our listeners, when you guys reach out to Relive Health, like let them know you heard about it from the podcast. I know they run different promotions throughout the year. Mm-hmm. And, whenever you reach out, just let them know you're part of the podcast. And then, there'll be a different type of promotion that they might be able to run for you guys as listeners, which will change throughout the year. But we appreciate our listeners. We know you guys, just the support you guys give our podcast and the support that you guys give our guests are very much appreciative, which I know Lucas is about to cover the social media aspect. But yeah, Relive Health in Flower Mound. And take a little more ownership over your health. Do some education, do some research, and if anything, reach out to Nick and Johnny and their team and just see what they can do to help you feel better. Because I know every single one of the listeners, and I know I'm speaking for myself and Lucas, we all want to feel a little more optimized. We all want to have a little more energy. We want a little more focus, a little more mental clarity. We want to be better husbands, better fathers, better wives, better mothers. That comes from us having our health in line, because when your health is not in line, you're limited on what you can give to the people around you. So you have to take ownership over that.
100%, man. And thank you guys so much for being on the show. If you want to join the conversation, go check us out on Instagram. You can see me at Lucas Pinker. JP is at JP Dinnell. We're both at the JP Dinnell podcast. But Nick is N1CKY_B. And if you want to check out the stuff that the guys are doing over at Relive, go check out Relive_Flower Mound. And then whenever you get your blood test, you know who's really going to help out? You folks over at First In Nutrition. If you go to firstinnutrition.com/JPPod, they are offering let's see, it is the Montgomerys are offering 4 free weeks of nutrition coaching. So make sure you go check them out. If you're not following Echelon Front, you need to go ahead and do it. These guys have to get to work, but JP's got some stuff he's doing this afternoon where he's giving a keynote talking about the laws of combat. If you want to get in the game on the laws of combat, if you want to really learn what extreme ownership is all about, go to echelonfront.com. Look at the online academy. The other things that we're involved in, Jesus and Jiu-Jitsu, Little Cattle Co., On the Bath Printing, Bruiser Arms. We got links for all of those below. And if you haven't seen it, throughout the show, we've been sipping on our Jocko Goes and Hydrates. Go to jockofuel.com. Use code JPPod20. Save yourself 20% on everything that's going on there. And then also big shout out and thanks to Pete and Amanda Roberts over at Origin USA. Go check out their stuff. The flannels are back. They've got a new color now, so they got the red and the green. So go check those out, and then maybe you can put yourself in a hoodie. Pre-order a hoodie that might have been used for a foreign leader whenever he was brought over to give double thumbs up. Go check it all out. So thanks for all of them. And guys, you got any final thoughts for us?
Sure. Yeah, I'll keep it simple. Basic business principles translate through almost all businesses. But if you're someone young and you're just interested in business, I only know it works for me. Just caring and being supportive of your team. I always joke in the clinic, people say this about me. I go, I don't do anything. But I know I can recognize when someone's genuine and very intelligent and smart at what they do. And I have all that with there. So all I do is just, be thankful for guys like him and our staff, whether it's Jess up front and Max, who and Mason and Morgan and Amy, is that I know that they're very smart and I know they're genuine and I know they care. And all I do when I come in every day is just try to be supportive and create a good work environment. That's what's important for me. And then, that worked for me in the restaurant too,
That's a good, solid application to every aspect of life.
And then one more thing is that, I really isolated myself with the restaurant from friends and community and a brotherhood. And now looking back, that's really important. And if you don't have that, I'd really do something about that. Giving my life to Christ and surrounding myself with Christian brothers has literally changed my life. And not just that perspective. We talk about all the time, perspective. Like, you can have some hard times. You look around, you're like, I got brothers like you guys in my life. I have a beautiful wife at home. Whether you're having a bad day or financial struggles, be thankful for the God's blessings. It might not be what you want, but you do have them around you.
Amen.
It's a tough one to follow up. Well, I just want to thank you guys for having us on. Thank you for your friendship, your brothership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for your service as well. Super, super grateful for that. In closing, I would just say, consistency. I think consistency with whatever you do in life, whether that's in business, whether that's in your health and wellness journey, is the most important. Educating yourself. And surround yourself with people that you look up to. I was able to do that with Johnny. I was able to do that with you as well. And putting that group of individuals together in your life. Not to end on this, but Matt doing a little sermon, 3-week sermon here. And week 1 was people, and week 2 was place. And I'll end with this where me and Johnny have this conversation all the time, and obviously it comes up in, last Sunday. We came here to open up Relive. That's what we thought we were doing. That's what we thought we were coming here to do, is to open up this business. And God had a different plan for us, and he brought us here for the people and the place. So do everything that you can to find those people and put those people in your life.
That's awesome, man. And I just want to thank you guys for obviously, coming on the show, sharing the knowledge with all of our listeners, with Lucas and I. Obviously, as well for your guys' friendship, not just me being a customer, but like actually like being a part of your guys' lives and you guys being a part of mine, and how you guys treat myself and my family and our friends. That, you know, just you guys are incredible humans, and I'm thankful for that. You know, but just, you know, the support, you know, that you guys have given me and my family and all your customers and your clients and your friends, and just the community is unmatched. And I know I've shared it on the podcast before, but I mean, if it wasn't for me having just the knowledge and the ability to do what I do with my health through Relive, like, my recovery would not be where it's at from tearing and detaching my bicep. You know, the night that it happened, I did a full week's worth of the peptide blends that I have from you guys into the tear. Like work that needle into the tear. That actually hurt more than actually tearing it. Like put the needle in and just worked it into the tear and did a full week's worth. Did that Monday night. Did that Tuesday night. When I went in for surgery on Wednesday, the surgeon was like looking at the arms and he goes, "It's this arm, correct?" And I said, "Yeah." There was no bruising, no inflammation, no swelling, none of that. And he goes, "This is crazy." And I reminded him what I did, because I told him at my doctor's appointment on Tuesday. And both the first time I told him and then when I reminded him, he goes, "That is very smart." He goes, "I wish more people understood peptides and the value of them." And then, you know, I had surgery Wednesday. Obviously wasn't able to go into the tear anymore because it was covered up, but I got as close as I could on the top of the bicep, and, you know, did the same thing on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it was unreal because of those peptides. And then also, shout out to Mama Lee and America's Mighty Warriors and that foundation. They were able to get me into some HBOT treatments to help with that recovery. I was off pain, so that was Friday. I had to drive out to Amarillo Friday afternoon to go speak at a men's event on Saturday. Well, you're driving, you can't be on painkillers. And so Friday morning, technically, you know, at 3 a.m. when I woke up to take my painkillers and then did my HBOT treatment and took my peptides and then drove out there, like, I was able to make that drive without any painkillers because of what the peptides had been doing since day one, what they're doing after surgery. And, you know, as we're recording, today, it's Wednesday. Today is 12 weeks post-surgery. And last night I was able to train Jiu-Jitsu again. So I've been able to get back into Jiu-Jitsu and lifting light. Next month I should have been lifting weights lightly. And last week I was able to curl a 25-pound dumbbell, hammer curls, 25 pounds, 10 reps, which is not a lot, but for where I was supposed to be, it's crazy.
Absolutely.
And do a 1 minute dead hang, no pain. Jiu-Jitsu, no pain. You know, I was rolling last night with Aaron Archer, and afterwards he came over for dinner and we were talking and he was asking how the arm was, and I was like, "Yeah, it's actually really good. I mean, it's fatigue, but that's going to be normal." He goes, "Yeah, we were rolling." He goes, "One time you had a grip with you're moving and gripping and pushing and pulling with your right arm." He goes, I remember thinking, that is a really strong grip and pull for being under 12 weeks of surgery. And that's 100% because of the therapy that I've been able to get from you guys with peptides and TRT, but doing it smart, you know, and doing it smart. And, you know, the way you guys run your business is an example of how I think every business should run. You guys take care of your team and you take care of your customers, and you guys maintain alignment in regards to, like, hey, this is what we want to do. This is what we do. This is why we do it. And I think that's a lesson all of us could take home is, you know, go out there and deliver the best service possible, no matter what you're doing. If you're cleaning dishes, you're bussing tables, you're a janitor, all the way up to a CEO, do the best you can every day to take care of the people around you, and God's going to bless your life. And so I'm just proud of you guys for dedicating your lives to Christ, surrendering, and also dedicating your business to honor him as well. And he's only going to continue to bless you. So thank you for everyone listening. I hope this reminder, I hope this episode has been a reminder for all of us to go do the work that's needed, to put in the effort, to build your legacy, and to never settle. This has been the JP Dinnell Podcast, episode 121.